Well, I am open-hearted and touched this morning to be able to introduce our guest speaker to you. Our guest speaker is one of our own practitioners, and she's also a ministerial student now, going through the Holmes Institute in Southern California to become a licensed minister with Centers for Spiritual Living. I had the privilege of teaching her in her first minister speaker class and saw an amazing minister emerge. And I am delighted that she is involved with our community and has the opportunity to speak with us this morning. And I know that you will be thrilled with what you hear. Lori Frisbie is our guest speaker, our practitioner here. Has one of the most open and loving hearts of any practitioner that I have met and worked with over the years. And she's an amazing woman, and I think those of you that know her know that about her, that she is an absolutely amazing woman. So please open your hearts and minds for Lori's beautiful message this morning.
Thank you, Reverend Jill. I just love her outfit today. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Welcome, everyone. This is a beautiful Sunday morning, a nice winter morning. Here we're enjoying winter in the northern hemisphere, and our neighbors down south are enjoying the heat of summer. And up in Seattle, my two daughters are up there, and they have not experienced a snowstorm quite like they are experiencing right now. In fact, for the last 2 weeks, their whole entire city has shut down. And the grocery stores are bare. You can't get off, you can't go on any of the streets. The snow plows aren't even out, and there hasn't been enough sand and salt to de-ice the sidewalks or the roads. So this season of winter has got me thinking about a lot of seasons. And the other season is this season of love that Reverend Jill mentioned. And she started this series this month talking about God as self-love. And then she rolled into God as love and relationship. Well, keeping with the theme and this season of love, I'm going to talk this morning about God as love and community. And here we are, gathered all together as a loving community. And I'm going to touch on another season, and that is the season of nonviolence. But before I get to that, I want to mention another season, and that is Oscar season. I love the movies. I always have. And years ago when I was in college, I was dating Tom, and I was down at ASU, and I had this very hard class called Film Appreciation. And on Monday nights, I would grab Tom, and we would go to the big auditorium, and we would watch classic films like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The African Queen. Ever since then, I have followed the movies. And each year when this time rolls around, I look up what are the best picture nominees. Some years I only see one or two. And this year, I have seen almost all of them. Two stand out, but the one that I think is going to win, because my mom went to see it twice, is Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay? I have to tell you, I love this movie. It is about Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of Queen. Now that was back in the 80s. For some of you, that was just a moment or two ago. But back in the 80s, here was Queen, and young Freddie Mercury, he's trying to discover who he is. And his father tells him this phrase: good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. And that happens to be from their faith tradition of Zoroastrianism. Wow, big word. Zoroastrianism. It's an ancient religion that is still being practiced today. I studied that in one of my world religions classes. And there are some basic tenets to Zoroastrianism that have filtered its way and found its way into many great religions, including Christianity and Judaism, Buddhism, Gnosticism, even science of mind and New Thought. And some of those tenets are having free will, the ability to choose for ourselves. And another one is, I lost my place, sorry, for 1 second. This struggle between good and evil, of heaven and hell, and that there's really only one source. Well, science of mind teaches that heaven is within us, and that we experience heaven to the degree that we become aware of it. And hell really is just the effect of the choices that we make. So there is no place out there, not some place to get to, but heaven resides right here within. And when we align our thoughts with the one, we stay in alignment and we don't experience that suffering or that hell. And then the one source. The God that made me is the same God that made you, that made each and every one of you, that made this entire community. It is the same God that made the people that we disagree with, and the same people that maybe we are fearful of, or the same people that we pass judgment on. And I ask myself, so how do we practice love as community with people that we disagree with or are fearful of or pass judgment on? Well, good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. Which brings me to two other people that God made. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi. So we segue into that season, this season of nonviolence that began on January 30th and runs until April 4th. 64 days of this season. Now this is a pretty incredible season because it isn't just on the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. It blankets the entire planet with over 900 cities in 68 countries worldwide embracing this season of nonviolence. This season where we honor and heal and empower each other to be peaceful and loving and practice the golden rule. And this 64 days this season began in 1998, and it commemorates the assassination anniversaries of Gandhi on January 30th, 1948, and Martin Luther King on April 4th, 1968. And in this season of nonviolence, I looked it up, and Kansas State University put out a list. And the list is used on mandalas, and it's a guide for you to follow along every one of those 64 days. And you could look it up, Google it. And in these 64 ways, there are many attributes that I'll touch on throughout my talk. And these are things that you can bring into your daily spiritual practice. Dr. Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of our teaching of Science of Mind, he talked about good thoughts, and he talked about bringing your good thoughts into prayer. He says in this quote, "Prayer is the conscious commingling of our thought with spirit. and is essential to the well-being of every part of it and every part of us. Prayer has stimulated countless millions of people to higher thought and to nobler deeds. I read a book called Answering the Call of Our Soul by Paul Perini, and he said, if you do not love yourself, you cannot love others. So we start by loving ourselves. It's two sides of the same coin, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor. If you don't forgive your neighbor, you cannot forgive yourself. So sometimes it's heads, sometimes it's tails, but really we need to progress with both sides. So that's the beginning of how we start loving as God in community. Jesus said, as we give, so shall we receive. And Ernest, or Science of Mind, says, as we believe, so shall we become. So some of the 64 ways to practice nonviolence, I'll just name a few. Simplify. Clear out your desk. It's a simple task. Clear your front yard. Clear your house to be open and available for inspiration and intuition. And creativity to emerge. Be in alignment. Clear your space. Appreciate all parts of yourself. And courage. I love this one, courage. Eleanor Roosevelt said that do the things you think you cannot do. Many years ago, Tom and I hiked Havasupai Falls down into the Grand Canyon with a group of 20 of us. We hiked all the way down, and I did not have the courage at that time to climb down this big old chain with spikes in the rock to get to the beautiful pool of water at the bottom. I was a little afraid. I was a little nervous, a little apprehensive. But after everybody had done it, Tom said, come on, let's go. You can do this. And I was empowered. I mustered up some courage. And together we climbed down that chain and held onto the spikes, nervous as I was, and we got to the bottom of the pool and swam in this crystal clear blue water. And we swam behind the falls, and it was so powerful and so majestic that it took my breath away. It was beautiful. So having courage, developing courage, is a way you can bring God as love in our community and with each other. Another way is to smile. Thich Nhat Hanh. This is the simplest way. In fact, just smile right now. Smile. It's the easiest thing you can do. You carry it with you every day. Thich Nhat Hanh says, as you smile, not only do you profit yourself, you profit the whole world. Good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. So what are good words? Well, words are powerful. Let's define violence, for example. Violence is not just aggression, war, or murder, or killing people. Words can be harmful to our psyche, to our spirit, and these words that hurt and are harmful, we carry around with us throughout our lifetime sometimes. Or they mar our friends or our families or our neighbors. So words have considerable power. And returning back to those 64 ways, I looked up some of those words. And gratitude was the first one. Gratitude. You know, the simple act of saying thank you. Eckhart Tolle says that if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that is enough. What an amazing prayer. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And kindness. You don't even have to speak words. You can wear them on a t-shirt. In fact, we used to have t-shirts out at the concierge table that said, "Be kind anyway." Me and my friend Lisa had them, and one day I was in a supermarket and a lady stopped me and said, "Thank you, just for being kind anyway and wearing a shirt." I didn't have to say a word. I just was, in a nonverbal way, showing the world to be kind anyway. And then praise and compliment. Dale Carnegie tells us that people love to be loved and approved. Be shown love and approval. And how we do that is with compliments and honoring the uniqueness of who they are. Each of us is unique, not just the things that make us the same, but the things that are unique about each and every one of us. Of the 12 beliefs that we believe in science of mind, one of them is, and this is from Ernest, we believe in the individualization of spirit within us, and that all people are individualizations of the one spirit, the one source. So we can use words to do an affirmative prayer. We can go within, get centered, and then we cast forward our word to create the life that we want. And as we speak our word, it sets the wheels in motion. And the law responds to our word, creating out of the invisible, the visible. The life that we want, using the power of affirmative prayer. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. So it brings me to good deeds. You can start small or you can go big. Start with a smile, or you can go big. Back to our movie of Bohemian Rhapsody, Freddie Mercury and Queen participated with many other musicians in a concert that was dubbed the Global Jukebox. 1.9 billion people were gathered in community to listen to this concert that was all over the world. And its goal was to bring awareness and raise funds to eradicate hunger, to end the famine in Ethiopia. Now, that occurred back in 1985, in the summer of 1985, and I was pregnant with my first child. And about a year and a half later, Tom and I participated in another hunger initiative called Hands Across America. And we rolled our stroller out. I wish I'd found the picture. I can see it now. But we joined hands with each of our neighbors. And we stretched across the streets of Phoenix as others stretched across America, raising awareness and raising funds to end hunger. Now that was a big thing for someone in their 20s, you know. The other movie that caught my attention about doing good deeds, and one of the words was on that 64 ways list, was from Green Book. And Green Book is about this classical musician named Dr. Shirley, and he's wanting to travel the South, and he hires himself a driver. And the driver, Tony, they're not really getting along all that well, but Tony is eating his lunch in the car, and they're trying to get to their next gig, and he tosses his cup out the window and keeps on driving. Well, pretty soon you see the car back up. And the car door opens. And he reaches down and he grabs the cup. And the lesson about being responsible for this planet, having integrity, doing the right thing. Spike Lee is nominated this year. He wrote a movie called Do the Right Thing. But we can do the right thing for ourselves and for our families, for our community. We can be of service. There are so many ways to volunteer, not only within this community. If you'd like to, you can go see the folks at the guest service table, and they'll hook you up. But there are so many ways to volunteer. You can do ecology projects to save the planet, or you can end hunger, or you can just smile. My daughter sent me an article about the snowpocalypse that was in Seattle, and the Seattle Times had put out a call for anybody who had done some good deeds. And there were several in them. A 7-year-old asked his mom to pull over around to the side because they saw a man in a wheelchair stuck in the snow. They parked the car, they got out, they asked if they could help, and he said yes. He was stuck. So they got him out of his wheelchair, got him inside, and he was in front of an assisted living place. So what I'm saying is that we can all do something to show up as God, as love and community. So this week, I'd like to invite us to practice the presence. And practice the presence as love and community. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Good thoughts. Align yourself, commingle with Spirit into the God of your own understanding. Know there's only one source from which we all come. Good words. Use affirmative prayer. Start small or go big, but take action. Start there. And then finally, good deeds. Treat, then move your feet. Remember, you can start with a smile. You can help a neighbor during a snowstorm. And realize that to the world, you may only be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. Thank you, Dr. Seuss. Please join me in an affirmative prayer. How blessed we are to just come together as community. As God expressing uniquely and individually as all of us collectively as love right here, right now. It is a beautiful thing to know that God is peace and power, love and harmony. And I know that God is and I am and we are expressing each and every day as the divine. And so I just, with a grateful heart, I just bless this service and bless each and every one of you as you practice nonviolence. Be the peace we want to see in the world. And whatever is on your heart and mind, know that there is a peaceful way to bring it forward with good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. And whatever is on your heart and mind right now, we lift that up, knowing that our thoughts and our words set the law in motion to create a world that works for all. I am so grateful. I let this prayer go in full faith and confidence that it is already done. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you, everyone.